Deep Dive with David Stendahl, where we trade without ego, no emotion, no greed, and no opinion. Before we begin tonight's video blog, please read over our trading disclaimer and remember to trade smart and accept the reality that trading futures is risky. This presentation does not provide buy-sell recommendations, and our information is strictly provided for educational purposes only. As always, trade at your own risk and analysis. Hey there, it's David Stendahl with tonight's Deep Dive. It is June 18th, 2019. Thought I'd take a look at Australian dollar. The ETF on the long side is FXA. Now, we got the trends to the downside, short, intermediate, and long term. We got the technical rating, which is flat, and we got the seasonal tendencies, which are obviously more on the bearish side. We'll spend a little bit of time on that just to give some perspective on it, because this is looking at 28 days, or excuse me, 21 days. But what caught my eye today was this sub on the power level, and the sub stands for like submarine, where the market has been in a bearish phase, you can see from here, but yet it's a little overdone on the bearish phase, and so it's oversold in a bearish phase, and it's typically what you'll see is that it's gone a little too far and has a little bit of a bounce. It's not going to go from a bear phase to a bull phase immediately, but there's opportunity to be had. And so if we actually take a look at the market itself on daily bars, here is Australian dollar, and the other thing that caught my eye here is on the Australian dollar daily bars is this support level. So you can see from our little chart here that we have a support level that goes back in time. It's a 50, which the higher the number the better, meaning the stronger it is. And then we have an 18 right over here. It's kind of hard to see, but they overlap one another. So when you combine these together, there's a really strong support level. So the fact is that our systems are long now, taking advantage of a potential bounce off of these support levels. And so these are levels that one's going to have to watch very, very carefully, because if they don't hold, then there's not really too much below there. And so the level in question right through here, since this is the closest one, is 68.86. That's what that number references. Now, I'm not trading Forex. These are the futures. So your numbers and your charts might be a little bit different. But nonetheless, Australian dollar futures look to be basing with the potential to head higher. Recently, we had a low here in the elastic level, so it was oversold in this bearish phase. And that's where this sub indicator, this little dot way down here, that's what that is referencing when we actually come back here. That's what this sub is looking for. Just as we have a rocket that's going on right now with corn, we have the inverse to that, the sub low for the Australian dollar. Now the seasonal tendencies are still strong to the downside, and so let's give that a little bit of reference here. Here is the Canadian dollar. I know that it's hard to see, but this is unfortunately what the currencies have to deal with. And when you look at the blue line, that represents in this case the 10-year average as far as the seasonal tendencies. The black line represents this year. And so you can see that for the next month or so, the next maybe 3 weeks or so, going into mid-July, that's when we start to see this next phase to the upside, where the seasonal tendencies will agree with this longer-term forecast to go long the market. This sideways consolidation is kind of what we're up against, with a little bit of volatility. But if you can hold the position for a while, you might very well find that we're able to take advantage of this particular move, obviously in theory going forward. Not that we're really looking for the low to be on a particular date and the high to be in a particular date. What we're really doing is just trying to get a feel for what is the general trend to the market. Well, it's going to be still to the downside, perhaps a little bit, a little sideways consolidation, but there'll be a little pops along the way, a little opportunities, and that's obviously what the systems are dealing with. If we take a longer term perspective, if we look at our underwater volume index, UVI, I'll show you where you can find this. First of all, you come to performance, UVI analysis, and then you click on the market, in this case Australian dollar. The other thing that caught my eye is that just recently we had a 3-year low. This only goes back 3 years, so it's not looking back for eternity, but in the last 3 years this is the lowest point. That's what the X represents. And so whenever you get a 3-year low, it should capture your attention. You should look for support resistance level. We're now at that support level. We have the sub low that's in place here. Perhaps the market is going to rally off of that support level. You can see along the way that we've had multiple 3-year lows that have triggered here, but not in every instances are we getting the sub low and the power level, and we're not in every instance finding a scenario where it's really at key support levels, which is obviously what's taking place now. So just to give you an overview, we could look at the details, but I thought I would just give a cursory overview. Just today, we had 3 systems that triggered long Australian dollar, and so net, we have 1 short position, and I think four long positions. So net, we are long with 3 positions. Obviously, one of the longs is being offset by the shorts, and then we have the three longs. So we're long. We got a nice little open position profit. Canadian dollar is doing a lot of nothing, but it has some opportunity. Another market you might want to look at. And then with the dollar and the quote unquote the inverse for the euro, we've got some nice open position profits in both of those markets. But Australian dollar has the potential for a nice little trending long position here. But again, we really do have to stay above this key threshold. And it's strong enough that in theory it should. And so the systems are obviously taking advantage. I think that we'll have some chop, a little consolidation, a little base building. And then, as I said, getting into the early July, mid-July, that's when in theory the seasonals would tell us that the market's going to have based and started to head higher. So getting in with the systems as they did today, they could very easily liquidate themselves, and we could have a couple of different trades go on by the time we even get to mid-July. But I just want to at least point out that there is opportunity to be had there, and watch the systems to potentially take advantage of that particular move. So with that, thank you, and we will take a look at some more markets soon enough. Bye-bye.